Aloha, everyone. I am Dr. Carl, also known as Dr. Resilience. And indeed, I'm honored to be a part of this Business Brilliance Summit hosted by the visionary Dr. Mark Holland. During this summit, I'm going to talk today about anchored in resilience. Steady your course and rise strong, not weak, but rise strong in life's storms. Imagine this. You've built a thriving business or career. Things are finally beginning to click. And then, out of nowhere, a storm hits. Maybe it's an unexpected setback, a market meltdown, a failed deal, or even personal struggles that threaten your very momentum. Well, for me, that came when I was aboard the USS Denver in San Diego, January of 1997, after being on board the ship about 3 months. And I decided that I wanted to get out the Navy to pursue being Navy chaplaincy. You see, I was at the 15-year mark of my career, and you're talking about, rising, being strong during a storm. Well, that storm came because after about 15 years of my career, 5 years been away from retirement. On board that ship, I put in a request to my commanding officer, yes, to get out the Navy. Now, mind you, I just raised my right hand to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and asking to get out, getting ready for a 6-month deployment, and I asked to get out the Navy. Why did I ask to get out the Navy? I'm so glad you asked that question. Because I was at the point where my age was going to be cut off for applying for the program. So what I had to do was say I had to be a civilian again before they would even discuss the process of me being in. But I took a chance. I took a chance because I was so hardcore about doing this until I call it having crazy faith. There's some things in life you just have to do because the timing is right, the season is right. So I felt that this was the time to do that. So I put in a request to my commanding officer to get out. I had to get out my 4-year contract. I was headed for a 6-month deployment. Long story short, 9 months later, January of 1997, I walked off that ship a free man. No benefits, no retirement, but I had to do that to apply for the program as a civilian, not as an active duty member. Well, I got accepted in the program, and what I did do once I was commissioned and got those butter bars as an ensign in the United States Navy, I went back to that ship and I thanked that commanding officer because the commanding officer was the only person that said yes. So many of you out there, you only need one person to say yes to your dream, your vision. Well, I was at the right place at the right time, and that's what happened. I felt like a ship caught in a relentless storm, and it was a relentless storm because I had a decision to make. Do I stay or do I go? Sometimes those storms toss back and forth. You don't know which way to go. But even though I felt like I was tossed by the waves of doubt, fear, and uncertainty, at one point I questioned whether I had the strength to continue. And on this journey, we do question ourselves. Doubt does question you. What am I doing here? I had the strength to continue. But at that time, I didn't feel like I had the strength to continue. Do you have the strength to continue what you're doing to pursue your dream? But here's what I realized. Those who survive and thrive in business and in life aren't the ones who avoid storms. Let me repeat myself again. Those who survive and thrive in business and in life aren't the ones who avoid the storms. They're the ones anchored in resilience. They are the ones anchored in resilience. The leaders, the entrepreneurs, and the visionaries who refuse to let the winds dictate their direction. They adjust their sail. Somebody say, sometimes you've got to adjust your sail. Yeah, say it again. I see your head shaking. Sometimes you just need to adjust your sail. Stay the course and emerge stronger. Why does resilience become a non-negotiable in business? Resilience is non-negotiable when it comes to business. In today's unpredictable world, resilience isn't a luxury. Let me repeat myself again. In today's unpredictable world, resilience isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Let me underscore it again. It is a necessity. Market shifts, competition intensifies, and setbacks are inevitable. Let me say it again because I was getting happy about that. Resilience isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Your market's going to shift, competition is going to intensify, and setbacks are inevitable. You see, without resilience, business fail, leaders burn out, and dreams fade. But when you're anchored in resilience, let me say it again. When you are anchored in resilience, you don't just survive, you innovate, you adapt, and you lead with confidence. I'm feeling so good. I'm going to say that again. When you're anchored in resilience, you don't just survive, but you innovate, you adapt, and you lead with confidence. Today, I'm going to share 3 actionable strategies, 3, not 2, not 5, but 3 that you can implement right now. Somebody say right now, today. In your journal, your book, say right now, 3 strategies to help you to ensure that no storm, no rejection, no failure or crisis can knock you off your course, because you do not want to get knocked off your course. So the first one again is set your anchor. Set your anchor. Define your unshakable purpose. That's what we're talking about. If you set your anchor, you're learning how to define your unshakable purpose. Well, many of you are saying, well, how come you talk about this anchor and ship, all this nautical terms so much? You see, I spent 35 years of my life, my adult life, in the United States Navy, in uniform, going from the lowest ranks of E1 semi-recruit to E6, then from O1 ensign to senior officer, which is Commander 05. So I know this backwards and forward about nautical terms, been in the Navy, been on a plethora of ships from aircraft carriers to frigates to destroyers, amphibious, been there, done it, got the t-shirt and several ball caps. So that's why I'm able to talk from an expert's tease about resilience and anchoring, navigating through those storms, because I've navigated several storms on board the ship. You see, an anchored ship doesn't just drift. I'll say it again. An anchored ship doesn't just drift because it's connected to something deep. Somebody say connected to something deep. I am connected to something deep. I'm getting so happy, patting myself on the chest real hard to make me calm down. Are you anchored to something deep? Because a ship, I've been on ships when we've been anchored out in the middle of the Mediterranean, the Pacific Ocean, and doing port calls. The ship had to drop an anchor. I'm not talking about foot or feet of water. I'm talking about fathoms of water where the anchor drops to connect to something deep. Are you connected to something deep today? In business, your anchor is your purpose. Somebody said purpose. Write in the chat, write in your notebook, whatever it is, but say, is your anchor in purpose? So that's your why. Your purpose is your why. When setbacks come, and you know what? They will come. They will knock at your door. Setbacks will come. When setbacks come, this is what keeps you from giving up. Don't give up. Somebody said, don't give up the ship. Don't you give up your ship. Be the captain of your ship. You learn to steer your course and speed. And so as we continue, you're going to find out about how to do that in my strategies. Say action step number 1. Action step number 1, put in the chat, put in your journal, wherever it is, but say action step number 1. I want you to take 5 minutes today, not tomorrow, not next week, but take 5 minutes today after you've listened to the summit in its entirety to revisit and write down your core mission. What is your core mission? Mine is in front of me, plastered on the wall right there. So ask yourself, 5 minutes, that's all, just 5 minutes. I want you to revisit and write down your core mission. Why do you do what you do? Let me get a tongue twister out the way. Why do you do what you do? Who do you serve? And when challenges hit, remind yourself of why you started doing what you're doing in this business. Because purpose refuse perseverance. Oh, let me say that again. Purpose. Somebody say purpose. Refuse perseverance. Purpose refuse perseverance. Next thing we're going to do, point number two, setback strategy number two, setback strategy number two, reinforce your hull. Hull. Reinforce your hull. I might have a different accent from the South, but you know what I'm trying to say. Build a resilient mindset. Bottom line, build a resilient mindset. Let me say that again. Build a resilient mindset. Repeat after me. Build a resilient mindset. You say a strong ship weathers the storm. A strong ship weathers the storm. And I've been on some ships where we went back and forward. I mean, there were times we had to strap ourselves in our rack because why? The things we sleep in, because the ship was going through some storms. And guess what? Some equipment broke. Things came out the bulkhead, which we call a wall, because guess what? We were going through a storm. A strong ship knows how to weather the storms. You see, I've been on the bridge as a master helmsman, driving a ship during those turbulent times when those storms arose and people, the crew members, were on board those ships. So remember, a strong ship weathers the storm, not because the waves stop, but because its structure holds together. I like that. I'm going to say it again. A strong ship weathers the storm, not because the waves stop, but because its structure holds together. You see, if you allow doubt, fear, or failure to crack your foundation, now I'm feeling this. Don't let it crack your foundation. The storm will sink you. Plain and simple. If you let your fear, your doubt, or your failure to crack your foundation, the storm will sink you. So how are we going to take action on that? I'm so glad you asked. So what's the action step you need to take for that? Reframe challenges as opportunities. Reframe your challenges to opportunities. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I've done it before. Ask, what is this teaching me on this journey of business, entrepreneur, and leadership? What is it teaching me? Also, what is teaching you? Next thing I want you to do, I want you to create a resilience mantra. You said, what? Yes, create a momentum or resilience mantra. A mantra. It's just a short phrase that reminds you to stay steady when things get tough. And they're going to get tough. That knock on the door is going to come. Say it daily. Whatever that mantra is, get it in your DNA, in your spirit. When you wake up in the morning, when you do your devotion or prayers, your meditation room, your prayer closet, think about that. Create a resilience mantra. It's got to be, it don't have to be long, something short that's memorable that you can write down, put on a sticky, paste it wherever it is on your mirror in the bathroom, wherever it needs to be at, that you see this every day and remind yourself to stay steady when things get tough. When things get tough, I'm going to repeat my resilience mantra. Also, next strategy is going to be adjust your sales. Adjust your sales. Stay adaptable and keep moving. Ooh, you know what? Stay adaptable and keep moving. Now's not the time to get stuck. Stay adaptable, ladies and gentlemen. In this Business Brilliance Summit, you got to stay adaptable, but you got to keep moving. Don't stop. Do not pause. Keep moving. But you need to adjust your sail. Ships that survive storms don't fight the wind. Let me say that again. Ships that survive storms don't fight the wind. They adjust their sails. Those things, you know that. If any navigators out there, people got boats and yachts out there. I know you do. You busy for. You got some yachts out there. Yeah, I see your head shaking. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And guess what? You have to adjust your sails. Remember, ships don't survive storms. They don't fight the wind. They adjust their sails. In business, the most resilient leaders pivot instead of panic. Woo! They pivot instead of panic. I panicked before. I know what it means to panic, but all I need to do is just pivot. Pivot. Resilient leaders learn to pivot instead of panic. So what action step must I take there, Dr. Carl? Identify one area, not 5 or 10. Just identify one area in your business or your leadership acumen where you're stuck. Now I hear Dr. Les Brown saying, getting unstuck. I got those tapes. I remember that word he said, getting unstuck. And sometimes we do get stuck. But just identify one area in your business, in your leadership. And guess what? Pivot. Identify that area where you're stuck in. Instead of resisting change, ask, what one small shift can I make today? I need to make a shift. If you need to make a shift, raise your hand. I see it all over the place. I need to make a shift in my leadership, in my business, as an entrepreneur, because guess what? Things are going to happen, but just learn how to identify just one. Identify one area in your business or leadership acumen where you feel like you're stuck. Instead of resisting that change, ask, what is a small one shift, the S word, the shift word that I can make today? And also along those lines, you need to stay connected. Stay connected with who? Not Billy Bob. If there are any Billy Bobbers here, I don't want to offend your name, but stay connected with mentors, with coaches, or support network of like-minded people, because the strongest leaders don't navigate alone. Woo! Let me say that again. Stay connected with mentors, coaches, or get your support network, because the strongest leaders don't navigate alone. You see, on the ship, when I was doing on board a plethora of ships, on the bridge, you had the navigator, you had the helmsman, the lead helmsman, all these people in the powerhouse, the quartermaster, the lookout, all these people making up the team. Why? Because they're strong when they're together. They want to navigate through those Panama canals, through the straits, whatever it is, those turbulent seas, and during an emergency crisis. One person cannot do it alone, leaders. Who is on your team? You know who's on your team. Do you need to reevaluate that? Because remember, the strongest leaders don't navigate alone. In closing, I want you to closing today. It is time to anchor yourself in resilience. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to anchor yourself in resilience. I don't know how many of you have visited the ships lately, but them big anchors, special aircraft on both sides, those things drop. Your ship ain't going nowhere. So it's time to anchor yourself in resilience. You have two choices when storms hit. You're going to drift aimlessly, hoping for calm seas, or anchor yourself in resilience and navigate and move forward with purpose. So what will you do today? What will you do right now? Will you set your anchor? Will you strengthen your mindset and adjust your sails? The storm isn't the end of your journey. It's just the proving ground for your greatest success. So stay anchored, stay resilient, and rise stronger. So ladies and gentlemen, let's make waves. Let's make waves. Write it down. Let's make waves. And for possible penetration, the storm isn't the end of your journey. I'll repeat it again. It's just a proving ground for your greatest success. Stay anchored, stay resilient, and rise stronger. Now let's go make those waves.